Greetings, fellow travelers of the mind. Today we face a battle many of us fight daily, a battle not against the world, but against the ceaseless noise within. Overthinking, a silent enemy that clouds our judgment, weighs down our spirit, and keeps us trapped in an endless loop of doubt and indecision. But what if I told you this battle is winnable? What if I told you there's a way to master your mind, to silence the chaos, and to regain control over your thoughts? In the ancient teachings of Stoicism, we find the tools to combat this very foe. For the Stoics, the mind is the ultimate battlefield, and those who can conquer their thoughts can conquer their lives. Overthinking is merely a distraction, a false narrative we create when we lose sight of what truly matters. Today, we will uncover how Stoicism, with its unwavering focus on discipline, clarity, and acceptance, offers us a path out of the maze of overthinking. So, I invite you to join me as we delve into the Stoic principles that will free you from the chains of excessive thought, empower you to act decisively, and bring you peace of mind. This is not just another strategy to quiet your thoughts. This is the philosophy of masters, a way of life that has stood the test of time. Let us begin. Lesson 1. Understanding overthinking. Overthinking, my friends, is not just a habit, it is a trap, a prison built from the bricks of doubt, fear, and endless uncertainty. It begins innocently enough with a single thought, a question, or a small worry. But before long, that initial spark snowballs into a wildfire of doubts and anxieties. Your mind races in circles, questioning everything, rehashing every decision, second-guessing every action. The more you engage with these thoughts, the more tangled they become, until you find yourself paralyzed, unable to move, unable to act. But let me ask you this: what has this overthinking ever truly achieved? Has it ever brought you clarity, peace, or resolution? No. It has only sown confusion, stirred the pot of anxiety, and pulled you further away from the present moment. Overthinking is the mind's way of convincing you that you must solve every problem, answer every question, and plan for every possible outcome all at once. It gives you the illusion of control, but in reality it weakens you. It wastes your energy, traps you in a state of indecision, and distracts you from what is truly important. The Stoic, however, does not fall prey to such illusions. The Stoic knows that the mind, like any tool, must be wielded with purpose and precision. To allow it to wander aimlessly, to let it be consumed by endless what-ifs and maybes, is to abandon the very principle that governs our lives: control. Overthinking arises when we forget what is truly within our power and what is not. It is a sign that we have allowed the external world, with all its chaos and unpredictability, to dictate the flow of our inner thoughts. But let us remember, the only thing we control is our mind, our actions, and our response to the world. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you are lost in overthinking, you have strayed from this truth. You are allowing things outside of your control, past mistakes, future uncertainties, the opinions of others, to hold dominion over your peace. You must reclaim that power. You must remind yourself that all the overthinking in the world will not change the past, nor will it control the future. What it will do is rob you of the present moment, rob you of your clarity, and rob you of your ability to act with purpose. So, how do we free ourselves from the chains of overthinking? The first step is recognizing that overthinking is a choice, and it begins when we fail to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. This is the root of the Stoic practice: to focus solely on what is within our realm of influence, and to accept with grace that which is beyond it. When you catch yourself spiraling into a sea of overthought, remind yourself, this is not within my control. I will focus only on what I can change, and leave the rest to the universe. By embracing this, you free yourself from the endless cycle of doubt and fear. You reclaim your clarity, your focus, and your ability to make decisions without hesitation. Overthinking will no longer dominate your mind because you will be guided by the strength of Stoic wisdom, and with that wisdom comes the power to stop the endless churning of thoughts and begin to act with purpose, with confidence, and with peace. Let us remember this, my friends: the mind that masters itself is the mind that triumphs over all distractions, and overthinking is but the illusion of control. Lesson 2. The Stoic principle of control. Let us now turn our focus to a foundational principle that will serve as the bedrock of our freedom from overthinking, the Stoic concept of control. In the Stoic worldview, there is a clear and unshakable distinction between what lies within our control and what lies beyond it. The truth is simple yet profound: we have power over only one thing in this world, our own actions and responses. Everything else, the thoughts of others, the unpredictable twists of fate, the shifting currents of time, is beyond our influence. It is here, in this very realization, that we begin to free ourselves from the paralysis of overthinking. In the moment we stop trying to control the uncontrollable, we free ourselves from the weight of unnecessary worry. Overthinking often arises from our relentless attempt to manage things that we cannot possibly manage. We worry about how others perceive us, how events will unfold, and how we might fail in the face of uncertainty. But this constant preoccupation with the future or the past is futile, for it does not change reality, it only disturbs our peace. This, my friends, is where the wisdom of the Stoics shines brightest. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, instructed us with these powerful words: "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature." This is not a call to suppress our thoughts, but to be mindful of the ones we want them to dominate our minds. By understanding what is within our power to influence, we no longer waste time and energy on matters outside of our control. The Stoic principle of control encourages us to ask ourselves, is this within my power? Before we descend into the spiral of overthinking, we must pause and evaluate, can I control this? If the answer is no, then why waste precious mental energy on it? Why let it consume you when you cannot change it? The freedom we seek lies not in controlling every outcome, but in accepting that many things are beyond our reach and finding peace in that acceptance. Take, for example, a situation at work where you fear rejection or failure. In that moment, your mind may flood with doubts, questions about what others think, and whether you will succeed or fail. The Stoic approach is not to try and control the outcome, but to focus on how you respond to the situation. Can you control the reaction of others? No. Can you control how you perform, how you prepare, and how you conduct yourself? Yes, focus on that, and you will find that your fear begins to dissipate, your mind begins to clear, and your actions become deliberate and confident. In every instance of overthinking, we must ask ourselves, what is the worst that can happen? We must strip away the layers of imagined scenarios and return to the present moment, to the reality of what is in our control. Once we do, we begin to see how much of our mental energy has been wasted on things that do not serve us. We find clarity in simplicity, peace in the acceptance of the present, and strength in focusing solely on what we can influence. Remember, my fellow Stoics, that peace does not come from controlling the world around us. It comes from mastering our response to it. Overthinking will no longer hold sway over your mind when you accept with courage and wisdom that much of life is beyond your influence, and the only true power lies within your own actions. By focusing on the present and controlling what you can, you will experience the tranquility that the Stoics so highly valued. This is the path to mastery, not of the world, but of yourself. Lesson 3. Practicing the dichotomy of control. Now that we understand the power of focusing on what we can control, let us delve deeper into one of the most transformative Stoic practices, the dichotomy of control. This principle, at its core, teaches us to divide the world into two categories: the things we can influence and the things we cannot. This simple yet profound distinction has the power to cut through the chaos of overthinking and restore order to the mind. Let me ask you, how much of your mental energy is spent on things you cannot change? Think about it for a moment. How often do you find yourself replaying the same thoughts, worrying about the opinions of others, or fretting over events yet to come? These are things outside of your control, things that no matter how much you think about them will not change. Yet we often waste hours, days, even weeks, trying to manipulate outcomes that are simply not ours to command. This is the trap of overthinking. The Stoics, however, knew that peace could only be found when we stopped engaging with things beyond our power. In the words of Epictetus, some things are up to us and some things are not. This is not merely an observation, but a call to action. When you find your mind racing, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is, then act. If it is not, then let it go. Do not waste your precious mental resources on the unpredictable, the uncontrollable, or the uncertain. To practice the dichotomy of control, we must make a conscious effort to identify and separate the two spheres of influence in every situation. For instance, imagine you are facing a challenge at work. You might be worried about your performance, the outcome of a project, or how others will perceive you. Ask yourself, what can I control here? Can I control how hard I work, how I prepare, how I engage with others? Yes, these are within your control. Now, can you control the outcome of the project, the decisions of your boss, or the reactions of your colleagues? No, these are beyond your influence, and yet we spend so much time obsessing over them. By identifying what is within our control, we can direct our thoughts and actions towards the areas that matter, leaving the rest to fall away. This practice liberates us from the cycle of overthinking and provides a clear focus for our energies. It helps us understand that the only thing we need to worry about is how we respond to the world, not how the world responds to us. The dichotomy of control also encourages us to embrace acceptance. When we accept that certain things are beyond our control, we stop resisting the inevitable and surrender to the flow of life. This acceptance does not mean passivity or inaction. Rather, it means we focus on doing what we can and do it well, without being attached to the outcome. The Stoic understands that some things will unfold in ways we cannot predict or influence, and this is perfectly fine. It is the nature of life. In applying this to overthinking, we recognize that most of our mental anguish comes from focusing on things outside of our control. We worry about the future, we replay the past, we imagine worst-case scenarios. But by embracing the dichotomy of control, we step out of this endless loop and back into the present moment where our power lies. We act with purpose, we let go of the things we cannot change, and we find peace in the simplicity of this focus. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed with thoughts, ask yourself, what can I control here? If it is within your power, act with resolve and purpose. If it is not, let it go, for it is not worth your energy. By practicing the dichotomy of control, you will stop overthinking, regain clarity, and move forward with the strength of a Stoic, unshaken by the forces outside of your grasp. Lesson 4. Embracing the present moment. Let us now turn our attention to one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic arsenal for overcoming overthinking, the practice of embracing the present moment. The Stoics, in their wisdom, knew that the mind's greatest source of turmoil comes not from the present, but from the past and the future. We are often consumed by regrets over things we have done or by worries about things that have yet to happen. But in doing so, we overlook the one moment that we can truly influence, the present. The present is where life unfolds. It is where our actions take shape and where our thoughts, if properly directed, can create true peace. Yet how often do we allow our minds to drift away from the now? How often do we sabotage ourselves by dwelling on what has been or obsessing over what might be? Overthinking thrives in this space because it pulls us away from what is real and anchors us in what is imagined. The Stoic mindset, however, teaches us to anchor ourselves firmly in the present, to see each moment as an opportunity to live fully and to purpose. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Confine yourself to the present." In those simple words lies the key to quieting the storm of overthinking. When we focus our attention solely on what is before us, we find that the noise of worry and doubt begins to fade away. We cease to be troubled by what has already passed, and we free ourselves from the tyranny of the unknown future. To embrace the present moment is to accept it as it is, without judgment or resistance. It is to recognize that this moment is all that is within our grasp. The past is gone, the future is uncertain, but now, this moment, is where we have power. Overthinking takes root when we refuse to accept the present, when we are unwilling to face the reality of what is happening right now. Instead, we waste energy trying to control or alter what cannot be changed. The Stoic practice of presence is not a call to disregard the future or ignore lessons from the past. It is about striking a balance. The past offers wisdom, the future offers potential, but neither exists in the present. If we want to take true action, we must return to this moment free from distractions and fully engaged. Each breath, each thought, each action must be rooted in the now. This is where we have the power to shape our lives. When you feel the pull of overthinking, remember this: the present is the only place where your mind can find peace. Reconnect with it. Focus on your breath, your surroundings, and the task at hand. If you are having a conversation, be fully present in it. If you are working, give your full attention to the work before you. When you focus on the present, the mind becomes quiet. The chaos of overthinking dissipates, and you are left with clarity. The great philosopher Epictetus taught us that it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Overthinking is nothing more than an opinion, a judgment about what might happen, or what could have been. These judgments exist in the future or the past, but they have no power in the present. By letting go of these judgments and embracing each moment as it comes, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of unnecessary thought. Take a moment right now to return to the present. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the air around you, and the stillness in your mind. Recognize that this moment is the only one that truly matters. When you embrace the present, overthinking will have no hold on you. You will be able to act with clarity, free from the burden of endless mental chatter. In the end, my friends, the key to stopping overthinking is to realize that peace exists only in the present. The Stoic path is not one of escaping the world, but of fully engaging with it in the moment. When you live fully in the now, you stop dwelling on the past, stop worrying about the future, and discover the freedom of a mind at rest. Lesson 5: The power of negative visualization. Now let us explore a powerful Stoic technique that may seem counterintuitive at first, but is deeply transformative in overcoming overthinking: negative visualization. While the very thought of imagining negative outcomes might seem like the opposite of mental peace, Stoics use this practice not to dwell in pessimism, but to prepare their minds and hearts for whatever challenges life might present. The power of negative visualization lies in the recognition that we often overthink not because we are anticipating failure, but because we fear it. The fear of loss, of suffering, or of things not turning out as we hope drives us to create endless scenarios in our minds. We imagine the worst possible outcomes, and we spiral into anxiety and indecision. Overthinking, in this case, is rooted in our attachment to the idea that everything must go according to plan, and when we worry that it won't, we are thrown into chaos. But here's the Stoic revelation: by confronting our worst fears head-on, we prepare ourselves for reality, and in doing so, we diminish the power these fears hold over us. Negative visualization is not about wallowing in doom, but about embracing the truth that nothing is guaranteed in life and everything is temporary. By mentally rehearsing potential losses and setbacks, we strip them of their power and become less fearful when they occur in reality. Imagine for a moment that you are preparing for an important event, perhaps an interview, a presentation, or a difficult conversation. In the moments before, your mind may race with thoughts of failure. What if I don't perform well? What if they don't like me? What if I embarrass myself? These worries, these what-ifs are the foundation of overthinking. But the Stoic would say, what if I do fail? What if things don't go as planned? Instead of letting these thoughts spiral, the Stoic uses negative visualization to ask, what is the worst that can happen? What if I don't get the job? What if I make a mistake? What if I am rejected? These are real possibilities, but instead of avoiding them, the Stoic faces them with calm and acceptance. They realize that even if these negative outcomes happen, they do not define their worth. They do not define their future. Life will go on and they can move forward stronger and wiser for the experience. In this practice, we shift our focus from fearing the worst to accepting the possibility of the worst. By acknowledging and accepting that things might not go our way, we relieve ourselves of the burden of constant worry. We allow ourselves to act freely without the heavy weight of overthinking what could go wrong. We begin to realize that failure, loss, and adversity are not the end, but simply parts of the journey. Seneca, in his wisdom, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Negative visualization helps us understand that many of our fears are based on imagined outcomes, not actual events. When we confront these fears directly, we see that they are often less terrifying than we imagined. And once we accept that even the worst case is survivable, the mind is free to focus on what truly matters: our actions in the present, our ability to respond, and our capacity to endure. Take a moment to practice negative visualization in your own life. Think about a situation that is causing you anxiety or overthinking. What is the worst that could happen? Visualize it in your mind. Sit with that discomfort and then ask yourself, even if that happens, can I still endure? Can I still learn? Can I still move forward? You will find that by accepting the possibility of failure, your fear diminishes, your anxiety lessens, and your mind is freed from the grip of overthinking. The power of negative visualization is not in its pessimism, but in its courage. By embracing the idea that life is uncertain and that we can weather any storm, we remove the power overthinking holds over us. We understand that no matter what happens, we are prepared to face it with strength, resilience, and the wisdom to learn from each experience. Negative visualization is not an invitation to despair, but a path to mental freedom. When we stop fearing the worst and accept that life will unfold as it does, we step into our power. Overthinking no longer paralyzes us because we know that we can handle whatever comes our way. And in that knowledge, we find peace. Lesson 6. Practicing mindful detachment. In the world of overthinking, attachment is one of the greatest sources of our suffering. We become attached to outcomes, to the opinions of others, and to the idea of how things should unfold. This attachment traps us in a constant cycle of worry and doubt as our minds try to control that which is beyond our power. But the Stoics teach us that true peace comes when we learn to detach ourselves from these external forces and focus on what truly matters, our own actions and inner peace. This is where the practice of mindful detachment becomes a powerful tool. Detachment in Stoic terms does not mean becoming emotionally numb or indifferent. It means cultivating the ability to separate our inner world from the external events that are beyond our control. We learn to engage fully with life while maintaining the wisdom to not be overly attached to any specific outcome or result. Consider this: when we become overly attached to a goal, a person, or an expectation, we set ourselves up for disappointment. We place our peace of mind on something external, something that can change or be taken from us at any moment. When that thing changes, when things do not go as planned, when people disappoint us, or when our expectations are not met, we are left unmoored, lost in a sea of frustration and overthinking. This is the trap of attachment. But when we practice mindful detachment, we understand that while we can act with purpose and intention, we are not in control of the results. We let go of the need to control the world around us and instead focus on controlling our reactions. We learn to accept that outcomes are not always within our grasp, but our response to them is. This freedom allows us to stop overthinking, because we no longer waste mental energy trying to manipulate the uncontrollable. In this practice, the Stoics offer a profound insight. It is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When we become attached to an outcome, we begin to judge everything based on that outcome. We obsess over whether things will turn out the way we want, and we allow that obsession to dictate our thoughts and emotions. But if we can detach from these judgments, we free ourselves from the constant cycle of worry and overthinking. Mindful detachment is the ability to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming entangled in them. It is about acknowledging our desires and attachments, but not letting them control us. For example, if you are preparing for a big presentation or meeting, you might be attached to the idea of success. You might worry about how others will perceive you, or whether you will achieve your desired result. These thoughts are natural, but they are also distractions. They are judgments that prevent you from being fully present in the task at hand. To practice mindful detachment, you must remind yourself, I will do my best, but the outcome is not mine to control. Focus on the present task, not the imagined future result. When you detach from the need for a specific outcome, you free yourself from the anxiety and overthinking that often accompany it. You can act with confidence and clarity, knowing that your worth does not depend on any external validation. This detachment also extends to our relationships. We can love and care for others without becoming overly attached to their behavior or approval. We can work hard and strive for success without becoming consumed by the desire for recognition or achievement. Detachment allows us to give our best without needing to control how others respond. It frees us to live fully in the present, unburdened by the weight of expectations. In moments of overthinking, ask yourself, am I attached to an outcome, an opinion, or a person in this situation? Recognize that attachment creates unnecessary mental clutter. Remind yourself that you can engage with life, do your best, and act with purpose without needing to control the result. By practicing mindful detachment, you stop overthinking, you free yourself from the need for approval, and you regain your peace of mind. The more you practice detachment, the more you will understand that your peace does not depend on the external world. It is found within you, in your ability to respond with wisdom, acceptance, and calm. By detaching from outcomes, you embrace life fully, and you allow the world to unfold as it will, knowing that your strength lies in how you choose to engage with it. Mindful detachment is not a denial of the world, it is a call to freedom. It is the freedom to live without the burden of constant worry or overthinking, knowing that what truly matters is how we choose to live in each moment. Lesson 7. Focusing on what you can control. One of the most liberating teachings of Stoicism is the clear distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. Overthinking often arises when we try to manage or anticipate things outside our control. We become consumed by thoughts of things that are beyond our reach, and as a result, we waste mental energy on matters that ultimately hold no power over our actions. But the Stoics, with their unmatched clarity of thought, remind us to focus on what is within our control and let go of everything else. The foundation of this lesson lies in the Stoic understanding that we are not in control of external events, nor are we in control of other people's actions, reactions, or opinions. However, we are always in control of one thing: our own responses. The Stoics understood that our peace of mind does not depend on the world around us, but on how we choose to respond to it. By focusing on our internal responses rather than external circumstances, we break free from the cycle of overthinking. When you find yourself trapped in a spiral of worry, ask yourself this one simple question: is this within my control? If it is, then take action. Direct your focus and energy on doing something about it. If it is not, then let it go. Worrying about things outside your control only leads to mental chaos. It serves no purpose other than to distract you from what you can change. Consider the following example. Imagine you are working on an important project with a tight deadline. You might find yourself overwhelmed, not only by the tasks you need to complete, but by the many things that could potentially go wrong. You start to worry about factors beyond your control. Will the weather cause delays? Will a colleague fail to meet their part of the work? Will the client change their mind at the last minute? These worries are legitimate, but they are also outside your sphere of control. The Stoic approach is simple. Focus on the work you can do right now. Put your energy into your tasks, knowing that you cannot control everything that happens. Accept that some things are outside of your influence and stop wasting mental energy on them. By narrowing your focus to what you can control, the present task, you will find that your mind becomes clearer and your thoughts more productive. The key is to act with purpose in the areas that are within your reach, while accepting with grace those things that you cannot influence. This principle is not only about action, but also about the way we view external events. The Stoics teach that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. What happens, happens. Our emotional reaction to those events is where we hold the power. If we interpret a setback as a catastrophe, we create suffering in our minds. But if we choose to see it as a challenge, a learning opportunity, or simply an uncontrollable event that we must move past, we regain our peace. By adjusting our interpretation, we regain control over our inner state. In your everyday life, practice this distinction. When you are faced with uncertainty, pause and ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? Maybe you can control your effort, your attitude, your reactions, or your next steps. But many things, such as the actions of others, the outcome of a situation, or external forces, are beyond your influence. Accept them with the understanding that you do not need to control everything to find peace. The only thing that truly belongs to you is how you respond. In moments of overthinking, it's easy to get tangled in the weeds of what might happen or what has already happened. But this only clouds your judgment and takes you away from action. The Stoic leader, however, takes clear, decisive steps based on what is within their control. By training your mind to constantly focus on your internal realm, on your thoughts, actions, and choices, you break the grip that external events have over you. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. If you focus solely on what you can control, you free your mind from the constant cycle of worry. You stop overthinking because you know that the only thing that matters is what you do next. Your actions, your attitude, your response. Remember, the Stoic goal is not to be passive in the face of life's challenges, but to be proactively engaged in what you can influence, while accepting the things you cannot. This clarity will remove the weight of overthinking and replace it with action. When you choose to act on what you control, you reclaim your peace, and that is where true power lies. Lesson 8. Embracing imperfection. The pursuit of perfection is one of the most insidious causes of overthinking. We get trapped in the idea that everything must be flawless, that if we make a mistake, if things don't go as planned, then we are failures. This mindset causes us to endlessly analyze every detail, every possible outcome, paralyzing us with the fear that if we don't achieve perfection, we will fall short of our potential. But the Stoics teach us that imperfection is not a flaw to be avoided, but a reality to be embraced. In life, nothing is perfect. Everything is in a constant state of change, including ourselves. Yet we often demand perfection from ourselves, our work, and our relationships. We strive to make everything in our lives just right, fearing that imperfection is a reflection of our inadequacy. This constant striving leads us to overthink, to doubt our every move, and to believe that if something is not perfect, it is worthless. The Stoics, however, rejected this belief. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic leaders, reminds us that perfection is not achievable, but the effort to improve and grow is. The Stoics did not seek perfection in the sense of flawlessness, but in the sense of continuous improvement. The Stoic way is not about eliminating mistakes, but about embracing them as opportunities for growth. Every failure, every imperfection is a chance to learn, to adapt, and to refine our character. By accepting imperfection, we free ourselves from the burden of perfectionism and the overthinking that accompanies it. When we learn to embrace imperfection, we realize that mistakes are not the end, but merely a part of the journey. We stop obsessing over every misstep and instead focus on our progress, no matter how small. We begin to see that it is through our imperfections that we grow the most, because they teach us valuable lessons that success cannot. Consider this when you are facing a task that you believe must be perfect, whether it's a project at work, a personal endeavor, or even a social interaction. Ask yourself, what does perfection really mean in this context? Is it about the outcome, or is it about the effort? The Stoic would tell you that perfection is in the effort to do your best, not in a flawless result. When you let go of the need to be perfect, you can act with greater freedom, clarity, and focus, because you are no longer distracted by the fear of making mistakes. By embracing imperfection, you also release the weight of self-criticism. Overthinking often comes from a place of self-judgment. We analyze every action, every word, every decision, wondering if it was good enough. The Stoic sees self-criticism as an opportunity to improve, not as a means of self-punishment. If something goes wrong, instead of dwelling on the failure, ask, what can I learn from this? The Stoic learns from their imperfections without letting them define their worth. The perfect course of action is not always the flawless one, but the one that is aligned as a Stoic virtue, effort, and growth. Another key aspect of embracing imperfection is recognizing that life itself is imperfect. We are not in control of every situation, nor can we make everything go according to our desires. Rather than overthinking how things could be better or different, the Stoic accepts life as it comes, focusing on responding wisely to whatever happens. When we accept that life will never be perfect, we stop the endless cycle of overthinking about how it should be and start engaging with it as it is, finding meaning in each experience, no matter how imperfect it may seem. The beauty of this lesson lies in its simplicity. Imperfection is the natural state of all things. To be human is to be imperfect. To live is to encounter flaws, mistakes, and setbacks. By embracing this truth, we stop overthinking the impossible pursuit of perfection and instead focus on what truly matters: our growth, our resilience, and our ability to adapt and improve with each step we take. So, in moments when you find yourself trapped in overthinking, ask yourself, am I striving for perfection in this situation? And remember, perfection is an illusion. It is the effort, the process, and the willingness to embrace imperfection that will free your mind and lead you toward true peace and progress. By letting go of the need for everything to be perfect, you embrace the imperfection of life, and in doing so you stop overthinking. You are free to act with clarity, to grow with humility, and to live with the confidence that your imperfections are not weaknesses. They are the very things that make you human, and that make your journey worthwhile. Lesson 9. Practicing gratitude. Overthinking often arises when we become fixated on what we lack, what we don't have, or what we wish were different. Our minds become consumed by desires, regrets, and worries, and we lose sight of the many blessings we already possess. But the Stoic philosophy teaches us that by cultivating a habit of gratitude, we shift our focus from what is missing to what is abundant in our lives. Gratitude is the antidote to overthinking because it forces our attention to the present moment and allows us to appreciate what we have. The Stoics believed in the power of negative visualization, a practice where we imagine losing the things we cherish most, our health, our loved ones, our possessions, so that we can appreciate them more fully. This practice helps us recognize the value of what we have now, and it allows us to stop overthinking what we don't have, what we might lose, or what we fear might be taken from us. Gratitude brings us back to the present, where peace resides. To make this a daily habit, take time each day to reflect on what you are thankful for, however small. You might be thankful for your health, your home, or even the simple act of breathing. Gratitude grounds you, refocuses your thoughts, and stops the mental chatter that often drives overthinking. Lesson 10. Simplifying your life. Overthinking thrives in complexity. The more choices, the more distractions, the more noise we have in our lives, the more our minds become cluttered with endless possibilities and conflicting thoughts. But the Stoics advocated for a life of simplicity, a life that is focused on what is essential, leaving behind the trivial distractions that lead us into the labyrinth of overthinking. When we simplify our lives, we create the space for clarity, purpose, and calm. Simplicity in the Stoic sense does not mean deprivation or lack, but the intentional focus on what truly matters. It means eliminating unnecessary distractions, cutting through the noise, and choosing to prioritize what adds value to our lives, our relationships, our well-being, and our pursuit of virtue. To begin simplifying your life, start by identifying the things that cause you unnecessary stress and overthinking. This could be excess material possessions, obligations that do not align with your values, or commitments that drain your energy. Simplify your daily routines, your environment, and your mindset. By doing so, you reduce the complexity that fuels overthinking and create more room for peace and reflection. Lesson 11. Building resilience through adversity. Overthinking often arises when we feel uncertain about the future, when we fear failure, or when we are confronted with challenges. But the Stoics remind us that adversity is not to be feared, it is to be welcomed as an opportunity for growth and resilience. The hardships we face are the very things that shape our character, refine our virtues, and strengthen our resolve. By embracing challenges with a Stoic mindset, we stop overthinking the potential pain or discomfort and focus on what we can learn from the experience. Every difficulty is a chance to practice patience, courage, and wisdom. Instead of obsessing over the worst-case scenario, the Stoic views adversity as a way to build their strength and fortitude. In moments of difficulty, remind yourself, "This too shall pass, and through it I will become stronger." By reframing adversity as a catalyst for growth, you stop overthinking the fear of failure and embrace the opportunity to rise to the occasion. Lesson 12. Practicing daily reflection. Stoic philosophy emphasizes daily reflection to align our actions with our values. Overthinking often arises when we don't pause to examine our thoughts. By reflecting each day, we clear our minds and gain perspective. Take a moment each evening to review your actions. What went well? What could you improve? This practice reduces overthinking, giving you clarity and focus. It helps you stay aligned with your values and make better choices, turning overthinking into productive self-awareness. In conclusion, by applying Stoic principles, we can free ourselves from overthinking and live with clarity, focus, and peace. Control your mind, embrace imperfection, and take action with purpose. Thank you for watching. May you find peace in the present moment.